He was employee number 600 at a little company called Facebook. He took a $100,000 pay cut to be there. His coworkers thought he was crazy. Then Facebook went public, and overnight, Domenic had somewhere between $30 and $60 million in the bank. He was set for life. 5 years later, he had $680,000 left. Not $60 million. Not $6 million. $680,000. 95% of his entire net worth gone because of a single sentence in a contract he didn't read carefully enough. This is the story of how Domenic built a fortune, lost almost all of it, and rebuilt from the wreckage, and what that journey revealed about money, identity, and the one mistake that changed everything. Domenic didn't grow up with money. He was raised in rural Southern Virginia, and when he says rural, he means it. He has early memories of using an outhouse because their house didn't have plumbing yet. His father was a high school dropout who built a small business from nothing, eventually moving the family from genuine poverty into a comfortable middle-class life. Watching his father do that left a permanent mark on him. Domenic wasn't a tech guy. His background was in writing and communications. He moved to San Francisco for a relationship, started doing consulting work, and somehow ended up with Facebook as one of his clients. And here's the thing, nobody wanted the Facebook account. This was 2007. MySpace was dominant. Everyone in his office assumed Facebook was going to get crushed, but Domenic was living in Palo Alto, hanging out with Facebook employees every night after work, and slowly he became a true believer. He could see what most people couldn't yet, that Facebook wasn't just a website, it was a communication revolution. And every major invention that had ever truly scaled had done one of two things: helped people talk to each other, or helped people be healthier. Facebook was doing both, so when the opportunity came to join full-time, he took it. And here's the decision that quietly changed his entire life. A mentor who'd been through Silicon Valley before gave him one piece of advice: take as much of your compensation in equity as possible. Domenic listened. He accepted a salary of somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000, a $100,000 cut from what he was earning. In return, he loaded up on Facebook stock. At the time, it felt like a gamble. Looking back, it was the smartest thing he ever did. On May 18th, 2012, Facebook went public on the NASDAQ. Domenic's stock was worth somewhere between $30 and $60 million. One of the first things he did was call to pay off his student loans. The woman who answered the phone started crying. She told him that all day long, she spoke to people trying to defer or reduce their payments. And his call was the first one that felt different. For a while after that, Domenic was surprisingly disciplined. He stayed at Facebook, kept working, and barely touched the money. The culture there didn't leave much room for spending anyway. They were working around the clock, completely consumed by the mission. But then, in the years that followed, the losses began. Not financial ones, personal ones. A close friend died, then another, cancer, then one in an avalanche, then one on a motorcycle. 4 friends, gone, in the span of a single year. Grief does something to a person, and grief with $60 million in the bank does something even more dangerous. Domenic entered what he now calls his forget it phase, a period where the weight of losing people he loved made it feel pointless to be careful with anything, including money. He bought properties, remodeled homes, made investments, spent freely. Part of it was generosity, part of it was processing, all of it was human. But none of that is what took the money. What took the money was one contract. After leaving Facebook, Domenic built his own business. It grew. It attracted a buyer. On paper, the acquisition looked like another win, but buried inside the acquisition contract was language that Domenic hadn't fully understood. The founder on the other side of the deal was, by Domenic's own account, one of the sharpest contract writers he'd ever encountered, and Domenic had committed heavily. He'd put a significant portion of everything he had into this business. When the deal fell apart and that clause was invoked, the money didn't slowly drain away. It collapsed. He went from tens of millions to $680,000, a 9,000% loss of his net worth because of language in a document he had signed without fully grasping what it meant. Here's what Domenic did not do after that. He didn't collapse, he didn't disappear, he didn't let the loss define him. Instead, he made a decision that most people in his position never managed to make. He refused to feel sorry for himself. Once you start feeling like a victim, you'll never get out of it, so just don't. Over the 5 years since the collapse, he's grown his net worth from $680,000 back to somewhere between $5 and $7 million. Working as hard as he did at 25, investing every dollar he earns, and spending almost nothing on himself in the process. His goal now is to reach $30 to $50 million by the time his daughter turns 10, not because of what the money buys, but because of what it proves after losing it. You only have to get rich once. I'm going to do it twice, because I have to. So what does Domenic's story teach us? Lesson 1. Read every single sentence of every contract you ever sign. Not just the headline number, not just the main terms, every sentence. Hire great attorneys, but never fully outsource your understanding to them. The attorney's incentive is to bill hours and make edits, not to feel the consequences of a clause you didn't catch. Lesson 2. Grief and wealth are a dangerous combination. That forget it phase wasn't a character flaw. It was a completely human response to devastating loss. But if major emotional upheaval ever coincides with significant money in your life, that's exactly the moment to slow down and protect yourself from your own impulses. Lesson 3. Never let money become your identity. When your sense of self is tied to your net worth, losing the money means losing yourself. Domenic had to rebuild both. The people who survive financial collapse are the ones who know who they are when the money is gone. Domenic knew. That's why he's still standing. He's not where he was, but he's moving, faster than most people would after a loss that size, and he's doing it with something that no amount of Facebook equity could have given him: a clear sense of what he's made of. Drop a comment below. Do you think Domenic will hit his $50 million goal? And what would you have done differently with that contract? If this story made you think differently about money, contracts, or what it really means to lose everything and start over, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.